Hi everyone, good snowy Tuesday afternoon and welcome to GoLocal Live. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. I'd like to welcome to most folks a familiar face, Congressman Joe Kennedy III, taking a few minutes out of his day to talk about his run at the Senate. So Congressman, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much, appreciate it.
I appreciate your joining us to give us your take. Now, your opponent was already in Congress before you were born.
Yes,
So let's take that back a little bit. Is this race a lot about a new voice, a new vision for Congress? I mean, what are you hearing from folks on the trail?
Look, it's not, I think, one, yes, clearly I believe that a different voice there would be beneficial, not just to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, but across our country. But I want to be clear that that's not a question of generational change or longevity or anything else per se. I'm one of Speaker Pelosi's strongest supporters. I'm a very strong supporter of Senator Warren, and those are two folks that have served in office for Speaker Pelosi's perspective for an awfully long time, and who's done an incredibly good job, particularly over the course of the last term when she's been back in the Speaker's office wielding that gavel. And so I don't think it's a question of kind of generational change per se. I think what you have seen for a younger generation of Americans is a willingness to line up behind people that have been in Washington for a while, whether that's Elizabeth Warren or a bit older, whether that's Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, if they are fighting for the structural changes that are necessary in order to make sure that a new generation has the life and livelihood and world and country that we believe in. And so that's addressing issues like cost of college, an economy that works for them, cost of childcare, global climate change, the issues that are going to impact an entire generation if we do something or if we don't. And you see people out there with big, bold ideas about how to address it, and you're seeing a younger generation line up behind it. And so I think that's a central part to this message, is saying we, out of a Commonwealth, a Senate seat from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we are accustomed to having leaders that can fight for and deliver that type of big, bold change that we need.
And speaking of leaders, let's talk a little bit about the tenor in D.C. right now. Obviously, you've been there since being elected to Congress back in 2012. Let's talk a little bit about bipartisanship and obviously where things are so entrenched as we speak here in 2019, especially what we're seeing going on with politics. Tell viewers a little bit about what you've done and what you plan to do for effective leadership working with both colleagues and across the aisle with the GOP.
So I think there's two parts that I believe are define legislative success in Washington. And one is a clear definition of the policies that you stand for, that you're going to fight for. And we're seeing big, bold ideas coming out of leading progressive edge of the Democratic Party, which I support. And I think we need to put the marker down about the type of things and the changes that we're going to fight for and believe in. There's the second piece of that, which recognizes that if you believe in the urgency of this moment, that there are people that are shut out, left out, and locked out from a system that need their concerns to be addressed immediately, then we're going to have to find a way to actually advance those issues immediately, today. I've been, I think, the lead Democrat on over a dozen or so bills since I came into office, some of which I've led, some of which are Republican-led, but I was the lead Dem. Almost half were done under a Obama administration, about half were done under a Trump administration. And all of that time, I have needed Republicans, substantial Republican support, in order to move my bill through a Republican-dominated House or to get it approved by Mitch McConnell and now Donald Trump. There's a way to do that, not necessarily on everything, but there's a way to put a marker down about the type of change you believe in, and then break down pieces of it to try to address the pieces that we can. Healthcare has obviously been a big priority of mine. Everything from mental health and access to healthcare. We're moving bills on maternal mortality. I passed a bill about increasing access to hearing aids. We passed a bill a couple of months ago now, getting $3 billion back from our taxpayer-funded programs around prescription drug costs. So you can do this if you focus on it.
Talk a little bit about the People's Pledge, something that has been important to you. Your opponent not willing to sign.
So the People's Pledge is a recognition that there's just too much money in politics, and that we got to get the money out of politics, and that for a number of us, we've talked about this for an awfully long time. The Republican support in Congress will not allow us to move the legislation that we want to move, and by the way, we just moved it out of the House already, but Mitch McConnell's not going to do it. So short of changing the law, we as candidates have the ability to actually put down policies that just says, despite what the law says, we're not going to allow for various ways of funding campaigns, and in particular this one, allow for outside expenditures to come in and cloud and muddy the waters. The People's Pledge was pioneered by then Elizabeth Warren and then Senator Scott Brown when she first ran it and won that race, and is credited for keeping tens of millions of dollars out of that system. Senator Markey, then Congressman Markey, and Congressman Steve Lynch, when they battled for that Senate seat a couple of years ago, they agreed to the same pledge and almost identical text. We have taken that same pledge, the pledge that Senator Markey had agreed to and suggested and then advocated for when he was running against Republican Gabriel Gomez. It's essentially the exact same thing. And we've offered it again. Shannon Liss-Reardon, one of the other Democrats in the race, has agreed to sign. I hope Senator Markey does too.
Okay, finally, what is it going to take to unseat a long-term incumbent?
It's, look, I think politics at its core is still about people, and that hasn't changed. It's about going out there and making the case directly to voters. They, at the end of the day, are going to be the ones that decide in this race, decide about which candidate out there is embodying their hopes and dreams and fears and concerns, and channeling that effort and energy into values and vision and policies about the way in which we can push our country forward. And I'm really excited for the year ahead. I'm excited to have that chance and that opportunity, and we'll go out there and make the case every day.
Okay, I know you're going out there making the case every day, so I appreciate you taking the time to spend a few minutes with us here on GoLocal Live.
Thank
Congressman Joe Kennedy III, thank you for your time.
Thanks so much.
And thank you for watching. See us when we pop back again on GoLocal Live. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel.